All right, let's dive into Saint Lucia. It's an island that seems to be calling out to people who, well, want a little bit of luxury, but also want to get a real taste of the local scene.
And finding that balance can be tricky.
Definitely. But luckily, we've got Annette Harris's YouTube video as a guide.
Oh, a financial coach who actually went there?
Yeah. She documented her whole trip, so we're basically getting an insider's view.
That's perfect for this deep dive. Love it.
So first off, getting there. She couldn't stop raving about the helicopter transfer to her resort, Sandals, Grande, Saint Lucia.
15 minutes and you're in paradise, huh?
It does sound pretty tempting, especially when she talked about the views like jaw-dropping, apparently.
Plus, no chance of getting carsick, which she unfortunately experienced on the way back.
Yeah, she even said she regretted not booking it for both ways.
That's a great point, though. Time versus money, right? Helicopter's a splurge, but you save a lot of time.
A bus or ferry would definitely be easier on the wallet.
Gives you more to spend on, I don't know, some amazing local food or...
Ooh, or those crafts Annette was talking about.
Exactly. So it really depends what your priorities are for this trip.
I think I'm leaning toward that helicopter ride, though.
Can't blame you. So speaking of the resort, Sandals Grande, Annette's video gave us a pretty good virtual tour.
Oh, it did, yeah. Those rooms looked amazing.
But she mentioned something about the room location that's worth thinking about.
Oh, what's that?
So, Caribbean-facing rooms get you those incredible sunset views, but they're not directly on the beach.
Ah, got it.
Whereas the Atlantic-facing rooms, you're right on the beach, but no sunset spectacle.
Tough choice. I think I'm a sucker for those sunsets over the water.
Well, you can always catch the sunset from somewhere else.
True, true. But let's talk food. Did you hear about that local dish? Salt fish and fig?
I haven't, actually. But it's great that Annette recommended trying it, even suggested asking the resort to prepare it authentically.
Now that's adventurous eating.
I admire that. Though, gotta say, she did mention the overall resort food was just, okay.
Not spectacular, huh?
Yeah, which makes exploring local restaurants even more tempting.
Absolutely. And speaking of local, that Friday night street party Annette went to looked incredible.
Oh, it did. You could feel the energy through the screen, local vendors, music, dancing.
What kind of vendors were there?
Well, she mentioned crafts, clothing, and of course, food stalls galore.
I bet the food was amazing.
And she opted for the Sandals shuttle. It's about $60 round trip for two.
For safety and convenience, I guess.
Exactly. Taxes are around the same price, though. Oh, and she did say the party goes late, so plan accordingly.
Sounds right up my alley. Now, switching gears a bit, did you see Annette's hike at Pigeon Island?
I did. I was surprised by how accessible it looked.
You too.
Apparently the paths are paved, and it's only like a 30-minute walk to Fort Rodney.
With those views she showed, sounds worth it.
Oh, definitely. Panoramic views of both the Caribbean and Atlantic sides of the island.
Wow, that must be breathtaking.
And it's even more fascinating when you consider the history of Pigeon Island.
Oh, right. It used to be a British military base?
Exactly. It just adds another layer to the whole experience.
Makes you want to dig a little deeper, learn more about it.
For sure. Now, after all that hiking, you've got to refuel.
And Annette went to this place called the Thirsty Parrot, right?
Yep, a local spot near Pigeon Island.
Known for its coconut curry and those stunning views.
That's the one. But she did mention the wait times can be long.
Oh no, how long are we talking?
Well, she waited an hour for her food.
An hour?
Yeah, and she emphasized that not everything on the menu is available every day.
So maybe go in with an open mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just embrace that island time vibe.
It's funny you say that because it's just, well, it makes you think about like the pace of life and how we're always rushing.
Absolutely. Vacation's the time to slow down, savor the moment.
Totally. Oh, and speaking of the Sandals, Grande, I forgot to mention, it's actually the largest of the 3 Sandals resorts in Saint Lucia.
Wow, 3 Sandals.
Yeah. Apparently the other 2 are smaller, more intimate.
So it's like, do you want that bustling, all-inclusive city vibe or something a bit quieter, more secluded?
It's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Gives you more to consider when choosing a resort.
For sure. But back to the Grande. Annette's video gave us a good look at the layout, the restaurants, the bars.
And she had that great tip about using your phone on the railings for photos.
Oh, yeah. Instead of paying for the resort photographer.
Such a smart move.
Little things like that can make a big difference.
Resourceful, that's what I call it.
Totally. But anyway, back to the food. Did you catch how many restaurants there were at the Sandals Grande?
9, wasn't it?
9. But as we said, her overall impression of the food was just okay.
Yeah, so venturing out seems like a must.
Agreed. Speaking of which, remember Duke's place?
The fish place.
Yes. Annette couldn't stop talking about the barracuda.
Was it that good?
Well, she waited an hour in line for it.
An hour?
Yeah, and then they ran out of tuna, and her group had to wait another 15 minutes for them to cut more. Talk about island time in action.
I guess when the food's that good, it's worth the wait.
And she kept saying, don't forget the sauce. Apparently, it makes all the difference.
Makes sense. It's those little details, those unique flavors that can really elevate a dish.
Totally. So we've got our luxurious resort, our street party, a scenic hike, and some seriously delicious local eats.
Sounds like a pretty amazing trip so far.
Oh, it doesn't stop there.
So basically, she had a blast.
It sounds like it. And being a financial coach, she also had some great tips on managing money while traveling.
Oh, like what?
Well, remember how she used her phone for photos instead of the resort photographer?
Saving money and still getting amazing shots? I love it.
It's all about being resourceful.
Right. No need to break the bank for great memories.
Exactly. And she mentioned the cost of the Sandals shuttle to the street party, $60 for two.
Which is good to know, especially if you're on a budget.
Yeah, and taxis were about the same price, so you do have options.
So it's all about planning and prioritizing.
Oh, and she also said to avoid buying jewelry at the resort's Columbia Emerald store. Way too pricey, apparently.
Good call. It's easy to get caught up in the vacation spending spree.
For sure. So we've talked about resort life, local adventures, food, budgeting. What about packing?
Oh, packing. The eternal struggle.
Right. Annette didn't go into too much detail, but we can still glean some insights.
Like, remember she brought a tripod for her phone?
Oh, yeah, for those awesome solo shots.
Exactly. It doesn't take up much space and can really elevate your travel photography.
Definitely a must-pack.
Yeah.
What else do you think is essential for a Saint Lucia trip?
Well, she did mention being glad she packed comfy shoes for hiking Pigeon Island.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Easy to forget about those practicalities.
It's all about anticipating your needs, right?
Totally. Makes the whole experience so much smoother.
Exactly. And, honestly, it's always better to pack less than you think you need.
Less is more. Right?
Absolutely. You can always buy a few things at your destination if you really need them.
So true. Wow, we've covered a lot.
We have resort life, local adventures, budgeting, packing. What else could there be?
Well, there is one more crucial aspect we haven't touched on yet.
Oh, what's that?
Safety.
Ah, yes. Always important, especially when venturing outside the resort.
Exactly. And Annette actually addressed this subtly in her video.
Oh, how so?
Well, remember when she talked about taking the Sandals shuttle to the street party?
Yeah, she wanted to be safe.
Right. And she also mentioned walking off the resort property to explore the local area, but reminded viewers to be safe.
It's a good reminder, even in a place like Saint Lucia, it's important to be aware of your surroundings.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance, right? Adventure with a dose of common sense.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So there you have it, folks. Resort life, local adventures, budgeting, packing, and safety.
We've pretty much covered all the bases for a successful Saint Lucia trip.
I'd say so. I'm feeling pretty inspired right now.
Me too. Makes you want to book a flight right this second.
Seriously. But before we get carried away, what stood out to you the most from Annette's experience?
I think what impressed me most was her emphasis on balance. Balance.
Yeah, like balancing the resort luxury with those authentic local experiences.
And balancing planning with spontaneity.
Exactly. And of course, balancing budgeting with, indulging in those special moments.
It's all about finding that sweet spot, isn't it?
Absolutely, where you can have it all without sacrificing what matters most to you.
Well said. It's a journey, not just a destination, right?
Beautifully put.
It's inspiring how Annette really embraced both sides of Saint Lucia. Like, she didn't just stay cooped up at the resort.
It makes a difference, right? Like actually immersing yourself in the place, not just observing it from afar.
And she managed to do it all while being mindful of her budget and staying safe, which is super important.
Definitely. It's about having a fulfilling experience without, any unnecessary risks.
Exactly. So now that we've walked through Annette's trip, let's think about your trip, how you can plan your own dream Saint Lucia adventure.
Like, what other resources can you tap into to, personalize your planning? Ooh, good question. Well, first things first, the St. Lucia Tourism Authority website is a goldmine of info.
Oh, for sure. They've got everything, accommodations, activities, even events happening during your dates.
And don't forget about online travel forums and review sites like TripAdvisor.
Those first-hand accounts can be so helpful, They give you a more realistic picture than any brochure.
Totally. And I love using websites like Viator or Get Your Guide to compare tours.
Oh, yeah. They've got everything from hiking to snorkeling to, just relaxing on the beach.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
And of course, there's always social media.
Those travel bloggers and Instagram accounts can be great for inspiration, right?
Absolutely. It's like having a virtual scout, you know?
Exactly. So let's say we could give you just one piece of advice for planning your St. Lucia trip.
What would it be?
Embrace the unexpected. I mean, things don't always go according to plan,
Well,
right?
definitely not.
But those unplanned moments, those are often the most memorable parts of any trip.
So true. My advice would be pack your sense of adventure. Be willing to step outside that comfort zone.
It's all about trying new things, whether it's food or conversations or exploring new parts of the island.
Exactly. So we've gone from unpacking Annette's journey to, well, giving you the tools and mindset to craft your own.
What a journey.
It really has been. So what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away from all of this?
You know, I hope they feel empowered to create a St. Lucia experience that's uniquely their own.
Yes. Whether they follow Annette's footsteps or blaze their own trail, the beauty of travel is in that freedom to explore.
And discover. And hey, as Annette said, enjoy everything that St. Lucia has to offer.
Share your discoveries, embrace those unexpected moments, and make memories that'll last a lifetime.
And on that note, this has been our deep dive into St. Lucia.
Until next time, happy travels, everyone.